Okay, hi, we're back again. This is Quisha, Abby, Cynthia, and Tanya.
Hello.
Back to have some therapeutic conversations. This week we're going to be talking again freestyle about some current events going on around us. We were just discussing before getting on how opening up the states and the towns and stuff is affecting America and how the COVID-19 numbers are increasing and what we think about that and what the governors and the lawmakers think about that. Um, y'all gotta excuse me, I'm out on my porch. So one thing that I saw personally when I, did some research looking at the news and stuff that states like Texas and Arizona have seen numbers going up drastically, and the governor is saying like this is not okay, and they feel like now that they've went through opening up the state more, they may have made the wrong decisions, and they have may have. One quote was, "We're moving rapidly in the wrong direction," from a governor who has opened up the state, and now in the midst of numbers and death tolls rising in different states. I don't know. Maybe do you guys think they're gonna rethink open up the states and maybe start closing stuff down again, or do you think that because of how bad the economy was getting and all this stuff that they're just gonna keep on going with opening up the states and lifting certain restrictions and just kind of chucking it up to like, oh well, some people
I
think.
think what they're gonna do is minimize the death. They're only gonna report a small number so people don't panic. And they're gonna continue to go through the phases and open everything up. I don't think they're gonna shut everything down again. They might implement some restrictions, but but I don't even really believe that because they getting ready to start opening up restaurants and stuff like that. And you can't eat with a mask on.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Well, I believe,
Yeah,
yeah, I believe that basically, they're gonna let this probably prolong for over the period of time. For what they were saying was that they're not going to be alarmed right now. They're going to watch and see how consistency it is within weeks, like maybe 12 weeks or so, and they want to see if it continue to rise or would it eventually rise and then level out. And if it levels out, then they would consider leaving things open. But as of right now, everything is basically being open already. People are already out eating at restaurants in tents. But the biggest thing they're saying is that people are not following the social distancing part. They're out, they're eating, but still they're not like social distancing apart from each other. They're like coming in big groups, eating and gathering and talking. So that's the big thing right now. They have these different steps put in place, but people are not following the guidelines for these different things. So that's why you're getting the rise in cases, happening because they're not following the guidelines.
right.
Yeah, I'm kind of confused on like restaurants opening because I know here in Chicago one thing they said was restaurants can open up for inside dining, but they can only have 25% capacity, which means
Mhm.
whatever their limit is, they can only have like 25% of that. But
Mhm.
and then that they're going to be practicing social distancing within the restaurant. But if you are eating at a table and your waiter or waitress comes to your table to serve you, you don't have on a mask, you're not 6 feet away from the waiter or waitress.
Mhm. You're
And
right.
then I just went past a restaurant where they had a lot of people sitting outside. It was so crowded. It was so many people outside, and
Yeah.
the tables did not appear to be 6 feet apart. And it
Yeah.
was, and it was like it looked like it was five or more people at one table together at all these tables, and it was just a lot of people outside.
Right. And that's the other thing with opening up the restaurants. Like, that is also a cause for people who come that don't live together to come together and go sit at a table. How can you tell someone, oh, that person doesn't live in your house, you're not supposed to you know what I mean? Y'all,
Mhm. Yeah.
like that's a gathering. Like, is
It's
there gonna be a limit of how many people you can book at a table, like 3 people at a table, but then that's not 6 feet away.
Well, I've seen many people gather at the tables, and then some restaurants they have the tents on the sidewalk. So you're sitting at the at the table and you're eating and gathering, but then you have people walking past you on the sidewalk, which is not actually 6 feet away from you. Also, so I've
Yeah.
seen people sitting there eating and people walking past them just as close as more than 6 feet further close together, and they're walking past like back and forth.
Well, I'm gonna let you know, I get irritated at Menards when people don't be 6 feet away from me, and I'll be like, "Excuse me, can you back up?"
Yeah,
That's me.
you do the same thing. Like can you
I
give
was,
me my
I did.
space?
I kept looking at this person, and like he was like crowding my space.
Yeah, like can you get
Mhm.
like can you get out of my space? Can you
And
give me
I was
some
looking
room?
like giving them a hint, looking at the tape on the floor. Like I kept looking at the tape, like that's my
Yeah,
hint. You need to
they
get
don't
back
get that
there.
hint. People don't get the hint. You have to be like, you supposed to stand at that line right there.
Mm-hmm.
And
I've had some people that get irritated when I say that, like, you're supposed to stand on that line.
I went in Fox Valley Mall yesterday.
Okay,
I went in Fox Valley Mall yesterday, and basically they didn't have too many restrictions. They were like taking you in so many people at a time, but in that time frame, I was in Champ Store, and literally that place was overpacked. Literally, we were like all on each other, and I had to come out of that store because I'm like, this is not even like 6 feet social distancing. First of all, you have too many people in this little bitty store. You need to limit less people to come in at one time. So they're not really following the rules and protocols in the stores.
Yeah. Mhm. I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not with the opening. I'm gonna just be honest. I think that quarantine gave me a lot of time to reflect and to be with my family and to not be so rushed. Life is so rushed. In
Mhm.
especially in America, our fast-paced life. You're gone all the time. You're doing stuff all the time. I really enjoy being at home and having my family to have to be at home because I like being at home anyway. But my teenagers and my husband, they like being out, and then the fact that they couldn't be out gave us a chance to reconnect on certain levels, and it just gave us a chance to reflect on how we live our life every day. And now that the world is open back up, I'm a little sad, to be honest with you, because and then I'm a little afraid. I'm afraid of contracting the coronavirus.
Right,
Okay.
because you don't want to bring that home to your family.
Yeah, I still don't let my younger kids. I don't let them go to stores and stuff.
It's hard.
Well,
It's hard because you don't you don't want to like keep yourself in, but also you want to make sure like I was just saying, you may be here in the beginning, then you find yourself going to one store. Then as you go to that one store, you may okay, you're not getting anything. So now you're putting the guards. The more you do things, the more your guards sometimes tend to come down. So we got to be careful that we make sure we pay attention to that. That we don't completely let our guards all the way down and still be accountable for what we're doing. Like for me, I was really scared to go out. Now I'm like, okay, now I'm at the mall. I wouldn't normally do that. So now I'm at different stores, and I'm like asking myself, basically I need to step back and rethink things over again because now I'm getting too comfortable with the situation.
mm-hmm.
Probably a lot of other
What were
people.
you gonna say after?
Well, that's just, and I'm glad you said that, Tanya, because like just on the 18th, because I work for a high school, I get messages from the Illinois State Board of Education, and they just released a document about how they're going to slowly transition kids back to going to school in the fall.
What?
Um, yeah, they want kids to go back in the fall, and they're kind of, I think they're leaving it mostly up to the schools to decide how they want to do that, because they're making it like legal and okay for them to, if they want to do the e-learning, they can do the e-learning, and they get this many days to put together a lesson plan for the week or whatever. And um, but it sounds like they're going to have schools open in the fall, and all I could think was like, you can't do like, you can think schools are going to open, like, we're hitting phase 4, and the zoo just announced they're going to open, and they're only doing 25% capacity. But it's like, that's one thing, and you're outside and it's open and there's a lot of space at Brookfield, but like, what are you going to do when kids go to school? There's grammar school level kids. Can you ask them to wear a mask for 8 hours a day? Or like the kids I work with, they're all special needs and special education, and they don't know anything about personal space or things like that. Some of them can't have personal space. So it's like, how are you supposed to accommodate to those kids? What are you going to do about that?
Right. That's a good point.
Mm.
And a lot of them
Right.
gonna be taking off the mask because they don't understand that they have to leave that mask on. They're gonna take that
Yeah.
mask off and throw it on the ground.
Grammar school kids too, just they don't understand personal space. My sons like wrestle and touch each other and touch their friends all the time. They like, pick at each other like all the time in school. They give each other high fives and all type of stuff, and it's really hard to keep kids from interacting in that way if they're in that environment.
And they like to give each other hugs.
Yes, they do.
And what are you gonna do for things like gym and
And using the bathroom. I mean, just keep in mind, a lot of kids at that age don't wash their hands after
just
you use
think
the
about it.
bathroom.
In schools, kids like in grammar schools walk in a line to go everywhere they go, right?
Mm-hmm.
So how is that line gonna look if you got 28 kids in a line? Each kid has to be 6 feet away. How long is that line gonna be?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And then the classroom setup. How would you social distance a class of 20 plus kids? How would you social distance a class with 20 plus kids? How would you do
And
that?
how you
In
gonna
the
do
class,
that when the kid has special needs and they need additional support, and that teacher has to be there to give them directions and stuff? What, the teacher gonna stand 6 feet away to help the student?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I think it's
Like,
go ahead, Abby.
no, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well, like what with what I do, my concern is like, so we rotate the students that we're with. That way the student isn't just with one adult all day and doesn't rely on that one adult the whole day.
Mhm.
So like, how are they supposed to do that? Because like before, and I know they're changing it this school year, but like before, I would float between students with learning disabilities and then students with cognitive and learning and physical disabilities. But it's like, if you're gonna have students interact with different adults all day long, how is that supposed to work too? Because you're having more exposure to more people. And like the one student there, she's on oxygen.
Mm,
And that really worries me because if she gets sick, then God only knows what would happen to her.
Mhm.
right, because she on oxygen.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be very careful. And the person that's caring for her have to make sure their hands are sterilized and everything.
Yeah. I
And
don't
Mm-hmm.
know.
that these kids
I
makes me nervous.
Yeah. Oof. I don't know.
I think it's like a noble idea to want to get back to normal or whatever the case may be, or want kids to get back into a traditional learning situation, but I don't think it's safe and I don't think it's well thought out.
Right.
So I have a
And I
question for
heard
you.
something. I'm sorry.
Go ahead. I'm finished. You can finish.
And I was gonna say, well, a prime example to piggyback on what Quisha was saying, the little whatever you want to call that event that Trump had. He had people signing a paper saying that if they get the COVID-19, they won't sue. So that means in the back of his mind, he knew it was gonna happen. He knew that people was gonna get it, even though he tried to play it down like it's like it's going away. It's not. It's hardly there. If that was the case, why do you want them to sign a paperwork saying they won't sue? And
Well,
then
not
he was very upset because of the TikTok kids. I think, is that what you call it, TikTok? They had bought
Yeah.
all these tickets. He thought at least 1 million it was going to be 1 million people there for a turnout. And really, it was only 6,000 because they bought all these tickets.
Whoa.
And but no one showed up. So you know
Yeah.
he heated about that.
He got trolled by some kids on TikTok.
Yeah, he got trolled by some kids.
Did you hear what he said to it one? I think it was at the Tulsa rally. About the testing. Did you guys hear that comment he made?
No. What you saying?
No.
He said he told his people the more they test people for coronavirus, the more cases you find. So he told them to slow down on testing.
Oh wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then he tried to say he didn't say that.
Right.
I don't remember what kind of man that is.
Mm-mm.
I don't know, but I don't think the coronavirus is something to be played with or to take lightly. And especially since 2 more people in his camp have tested positive for the coronavirus, I think that
Yeah.
he should take it a little bit more serious. But I can't really even say that because it's evident in his term so far that he doesn't care about the lives of American citizens.
Yeah.
No. But
He
did
only
y'all
cares about
know
his
that
events.
Nostradamus he predicted this so many years? It was like a bunch of years ago. Was it 100 years ago? You know who I'm talking about? Nostradamus. Am I saying his
Not
name
his
right?
name is Nostradamus.
Yeah, he predicted this.
Yeah, so did the Simpsons. I don't
That's
know
it.
who writes for the I don't know who writes for the Simpsons, but they
Mm.
predict a lot of things going on in America.
Wait, did you say the census
Yeah, the Simpsons.
predicted
They
this?
predicted Donald Trump was going to be president
What?
Wow.
like years and years and years ago. They predicted so many things that have come to pass. It's kind of like scary now. Like,
Oh my God, I didn't know that part.
Well, I got a question for you ladies. So in fall, if schools open back up, would you more than likely send your kids back to school, or wouldn't you, or would you think about it? What would be the outcome for you guys if
I'm
they were to open the schools back up for kids?
For me personally, I have been thinking about homeschooling my kids. For my son, one of my sons, I've noticed that since he's been at home doing e-learning, he has been learning better, and he has dyslexia. So, yeah, and he has he also, on top of having dyslexia, he doesn't hear vowel sounds really good.
Hmm.
Like if you say I, like he doesn't hear them really good, so you have to keep repeating it. And I've noticed that he has started learning better, reading better, and everything since he's been home, and he's been able to get myself or my older teenage children. We have been like personally helping him more. He's been much better than what he was at school.
So that means he's not getting the appropriate help at school.
Yeah, and I've asked for some assistance, and I've talked to they have like a lady who's in the classroom with them, and I let her know like, oh, these are the issues that I've noticed with him. Can you work on this with him? But I guess they have to stick to whatever curriculum. I'm sorry.
Well, does he have an IEP?
No,
Well,
he
you're gonna
doesn't.
need to call me so I can tell you how to get that. So give me a call. I'll
I
walk you
know
through
how
how.
to get one. I mean, I have other people in my family that has an IEP, but he doesn't really meet the testing criteria.
Yes, he does.
Well, his school he don't because he's not a certain amount behind, or when he does his testing, he doesn't test at a certain. He tests above the level. He's not meeting the criteria for getting the IEP.
That's
Wow.
ridiculous because IEPs here choose the student's individual needs. It
Right.
doesn't matter like what it is. Like I have students I work
Yeah, it's an
with who have like
individual education
ADHD.
plan. I know, but I don't. I spoke to the school about,
No,
because you
no,
have
no.
to.
You don't talk to the school.
That's
What you have to do, you
insane.
have to write a letter to the school board and tell them you want him to be tested.
My son goes to a charter school, so it's different. You don't write. You talk. You have to talk to like the counselor in the school,
Oh,
and then they do all that and all that, the
Like the
testing and all
school counselor,
that. Huh?
the school counselor, not like an education psychologist.
She got like a lot of different titles. I don't, but
mm,
it's really counselor. It's not like she's not like a counselor like in the terms where like they go and talk to her like that. It's kind of like
Right.
I like a case manager, but they call it a counselor.
Mm.
right.
Yeah. So, but that was for last year when I talked to her. It's going into this year, but I don't know what school is going to look like. Going into this year, if he is still, having any type of issues or whatever, like dyslexia doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Well, you
You
know what? You
can,
can get your own independent testing
yeah,
um,
they told me
from an
that too.
occupational therapist or one of those psychiatrists that do the batteries of tests and stuff, and
Yeah,
then they would have to give him additional support.
yeah. So I'm gonna see, but I don't even know what school is gonna look like. So I haven't been pressing the issue because to be honest with you, they had school was so hectic this year because some of my kids, my older kids, went to TPS and they didn't go to school really this year. Like they had a strike, and then they didn't. Then they had the coronavirus. My younger
Yeah.
Right.
kids had issues at their school, and they had the coronavirus. So this year was kind of up and down. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
depending on what next school year looks like, then I'm gonna, of course, I'm like I'm a strong advocate for my kid. The school probably looking at me like because I'm a strong advocate for my children. So, but I've
Mhm.
been looking into homeschool. I don't know if it's gonna be too much for me because I want to go get my master's degree.
Well, yeah, that might be a bit much if you're trying to get your master's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What about you, Tanya? What are you thinking about?
I'm thinking when if they send my kids back, they're not going. I actually want to like start doing research on homeschooling and stuff because I just don't want to put my kids in that situation, especially my 8-year-old because I mean she don't really follow the rules. She's 8, she's very hyper, she's all over the place. She puts her fingers in her mouth. She's that one that still like crawls on the floor here there. So she real hyper. So I know definitely not her going there because I know it. And then she, when school time comes, she's always sick anyway. She stays when school is in. Cynthia knows she's sick every month.
Yeah. I
She's
don't know how I would do that because I work full time. How would
yeah,
I? And my son is already a freshman in high school, and he'll be going into his sophomore year. So I don't know how I would do that working full time. That would be very difficult.
See,
Yeah,
that
that's how I
gets
was gonna
me.
ask Abby.
Well, that gets me like thinking is like, and this is like a question on top of your question. Like personally, I don't know what I'm gonna do because that's my job, and like I need the insurance. That's why I'm at that job. On top of the fact that like I love my students, but I also love my health and I love my child's health more. So I don't know personally what I would do, but like he's definitely not going to daycare anymore. Um, as long as it's not safe, and I just don't feel like by August it'll be safe. I think it's going to get worse. So I don't know what I would do for him because I have to go to work still. And then who's going to watch him? I don't know. And I that's where I think like, do you guys think that places of employment should be more lenient with working parents because of all of this and the possibility that some kids might have to be homeschooled and some kids their parents don't want to send them to daycare or send them back to school because they're terrified to send their kids back because they don't want them to get sick.
But you know, the
Should
truth of the matter is our employers, they don't care.
workplaces- That's what I mean. Do you think there should be something put in place by whoever, just so that, people don't lose, we don't need any more people losing their jobs. We already have enough unemployed people.
Right.
I think it's something should be put in place, but it's all, I guess it would be more likely up to the employer. But I would think that they would try to work with people that need that support, because right now it's like you're putting your kids at risk. So it's like maybe you can go, maybe you can do part-time, or if you can afford it, maybe you can do part-time, or I don't know, maybe they should have something in place to work around your
Maybe Prexner can put something in place, or Prick Wrinkle, or or Congress,
yeah.
or
I
something
think the
like that.
nation should put something in place. I
Well,
think our nation,
we know it won't be Trump.
we just need
Yeah.
to be more conscious of what people need at this time, and people have kids, and more conscious of the family. I don't think we put in America enough emphasis on family. They have so much
Mhm.
emphasis on money and economics and stuff like that, but we don't value family time and the importance of family and
Yeah.
having family around you and that support. So I think just as a whole, we need to put something in place for that, and especially parents, because like Abby, you're in a hard spot.
Right. Yes.
Like, to say what can you do when you work full time, and so are you, Cynthia, and your son's at home. What can you do?
Yeah.
Right.
It's not guaranteed that you have someone that can watch your children.
Yeah.
Right.
And these places aren't really safe. They're trying to tell you that they're safe, but in reality, you don't feel safe.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got to think about, okay, if you do keep your kids from home and you don't homeschool your kids, so now you may have truant officers coming out to your house.
Right. And then by me having underlying health issues, I'm worried about he's going to get something at school and then it's going to make me sick.
Right, then bring it back to you, and then that's even worse for you, because what I've heard of the coronavirus is people with underlying health issues. It's deadlier for them. People with
Right.
asthma, people with like diabetes, people with all those things is more dangerous for you to
Right.
contract.
And a lot of kids have asthma. A lot of kids have bronchitis problems.
Right.
So you're going to subject your kids going back to school with that. Just as well as adults being sick. Some kids are very sickly.
Yeah, my daughter just that's in first grade. She's a very sickly. She was born. She was 4 pounds, and it's easy for her to get sickness, like get sick.
Mhm.
She had scarlet fever. I never even seen. I haven't heard of someone getting scarlet fever, and I don't know how long.
Long time, yes.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
like,
It's just something you hear about.
and I'm like,
Mhm.
scarlet fever. Like, I read about it in books. I never witnessed anyone having it, but it's so easy for her to contract something and get it's scary for me for her. And then, like, because she was a preemie, like, it takes her years to her immune system to build up to
Yes,
where it
yes.
should be and all that stuff. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I'm scared for her. And she's a child that I keep on extreme. I'm like, nope, you can't go anywhere. Nope. Can't go to the store. I'm like, you can't go to the store because you might touch something, and then you might touch your face, and then you might
Yes.
like.
Right. So you got to
And,
be very careful of her.
And
and
I
this,
let her ride with me to do an essentials pickup. Her
mhm.
school was giving stuff to families and stuff, and she wanted to get out and hug one of her favorite teachers. And she's like, "Can I hug you?" I'm like, "See, this is why you can't go anywhere, because you have to know that you can't hug people. Like you want to hug them, and she wants to hug you, but you can't hug people."
They can do the elbow bump and that's it.
Yeah,
And
when
how
they
safe is that? Because where people not watching up, like
with the elbow,
coronavirus can't live on elbows.
I heard someone
What
tell me
they
you
have
have so
on
many
that?
seconds.
I don't know. I can't even lie.
But someone's telling me you have so many seconds to hug somebody. You have a certain amount. This nurse was telling me you have a certain amount of seconds to hug anyone without contracting it. That's what she was telling
Well,
me.
that's kind of like the 5-second rule when you drop something on the
Yeah.
floor. To me, I feel like that's a myth because on Dr. Oz, when they tested the 5-second rule, the germs were already on the food when it touched the ground.
Wow.
Oh,
You already
wow.
know we won't be doing that then.
Okay. You can't be dropping nothing, talking about kissing it up to God.
And can't be doing
Not in this day and age.
no 5 second rule hugging you either. I can't be doing no elbow bumps either then.
Okay.
None of that. None of that.
It's
And
crazy to me that people are not respecting it because people still want to shake your hand. I'm like, I don't want to shake your hand.
Okay.
and you know what we should do? We should like right now we should be building our kids up with vitamins and iron and vitamin D, getting them prepared, I mean getting their immune system stronger so that if their bodies can fight.
Yeah, definitely give your kids vitamins.
That's a good
Definitely,
idea.
yeah, definitely. I've been giving my kids vitamins. My baby has liquid vitamins. Like, just I try to get them vitamins on a regular, anyways, before this. But now I'm just like, make sure you take your vitamins.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, I need a suggestion. I gave my son Flintstone for a long time. So now he hates Flintstone. He spit it out and everything. So so what's another vitamin that doesn't have a horrible taste that I can give him?
You can get gummies. Cause
I
he's 15 now,
mine
so
has
he
the
can take a
gummies.
dope. Yeah, I take a
Okay,
dope
gummies.
gummies.
But I thought the gummies get stuck in between your teeth and then cause cavities.
I heard that from someone,
Yeah,
but
the dentist told me gummies not good.
they
It
told me
gets
gummies
stuck
wasn't good,
between your teeth.
but the
Well,
doctor also told me gummies wasn't
just
good.
tell him, just make sure he brushes his teeth and floss.
The best thing you can give him is Flintstones. From what I heard from my pediatrician was Flintstones is the best
But
ones
if
you can.
he won't take it, then he not getting the vitamin.
Can you give him a liquid vitamin? Will he drink that?
Oh, that's a good idea. What,
Not
a
liquid
liquid
vitamin.
vitamin? Where am I
Yeah.
get liquid vitamin?
They
I
sell it at Walmart, Walgreens, CVS.
yeah, I give my kids S&S tonic. I give them my kids S&S tonic from Walgreens. I give them that plus the
I
Flintstone
tried to find
vitamin.
that, and they didn't have it at Walgreens or Walmart.
Well, I'm gonna let you know right now. People have been buying vitamins out since the beginning of the coronavirus.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah.
So you might have to order it on Amazon. All right,
right.
we've met our video limit, guys. So
Okay.
tips for the day: get vitamins, stock your kids up on vitamins, stock yourself
Yeah.
up on vitamins,
Vitamin. Hmm.
just in case they open up and open school back up. Think about what you would do in the fall if schools are open back up. Are you comfortable with sending your kids, or are you looking for other alternatives? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.
Bye
Thank
bye.
you.
Bye
Bye.
bye.
Be safe.